there was something in the write-up to this album that also caught my eye that I wanted to talk about in this segment of the conversation, which is, someone wrote that, quote, "These are songs that you send to a friend and say simply, 'Call me after you hear this.'" And I just
That's Ocean. Ocean Vuong wrote that beautiful introductory piece to the album. He's one of my favorite writers of all time, and I was so deeply honored that he wrote about the record.
alright, that's beautiful. I mean, that's burying the lead here, because if Ocean Vuong wrote something, like an intro to something I did, I would be flexing that. And
Well,
it's
I will be. My publicist was like, "We have to slowly unfurl the story. That has
yeah,
to come closer to the album dropping." So
I
believe me, there's nothing that I wanna crow from the hills about it. I think my American publicist, Meg Helsel, is looking for a
yeah,
home for Ocean's piece, and so doesn't want us doesn't want me to,
okay.
um, talk about it too much beforehand, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
very proud that he wrote something for it.
yeah, but also it's the substance of what he's written here that, you should also be proud of that. It just gave me this flashback to pre-Spotify algorithm, or the way that
Yeah.
playlists and the discovery of music is so algorithmically driven, that there used to be this sort of non-financial economy where people would send each other music
Yeah. Yeah,
without
that
any sorry, go ahead.
exactly. Well, and I think that is still happening, but you're right that we especially, those of us who are geriatric millennials to elder Zs, like, we're in this caught between worlds a little bit, you know? And I think many of us were very susceptible to the kind of initial psychological, almost warfare of the algorithms. The little ones are just it's like they were born inoculated, and not that they do go online, they do use things online. I've even seen some of them, like, use AI to take notes in a meeting to do grunt work, but they are so aware of separating what is human and what is not, and they do things like make zines, and they get together in real life. Like, my daughter, who is 12, she and her friends don't play online very much. They get together and they do D&D in real life, and they paint, and they make things, and they write songs, and they put on skits, and they do that in real life,
Mm,
and they play she's part of this little East Nashville Vultures softball team, and they do things together and get each other their first jobs, working the snack shack. They're
mm,
they're very aware of the importance of in real life, and that
mm,
online is not an accurate reflection of real life.
mm,
Like, they get that. They really get it, and they know instantly if something is AI manipulated, and they're
mm,
not into it. They don't like it. They think it's slop. They're like, "Ugh, AI slop, gross. That's garbage. Don't put a,"
right.
it's so funny. I had picked up a journal, and she was furious with me because she said, "Mom, that's AI art on the cover." And I hadn't realized it. And she knew instantly. She's a visual artist. And she was just like, "That is unworthy.
Mm,
We're not doing that."
right.
And
See, in the beginning, I was able to, like, maybe a year or two ago, I was able to keep up and correctly point out when something is AI.
it's getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, and so it's good to hear that there are a group of people amongst us, the younger folks
Yeah.
whose instincts are still intact. And what you just said has to give you a lot of optimism as a musician, as an artist, because
Yes.
what that means, at least to me, is when you put out a post for a concert, or you create something that's in real life, or you're trying to sell physical albums. Um, the best days of recent days feel like they're ahead, right? Because I think one of the injuries that has been experienced by creating music for real life experience is, you could just watch it online. You can learn about this artist on their Instagram. You can listen to the podcast and feel like you know an artist.
Mhm.
Nothing beats being in the same room or in the same auditorium with them alongside hundreds of other people. who
Exactly,
right?
exact and because
Eh,
the experience isn't just between the listener and the artist, it's between the listener and all the other people in the room, you
exactly.
know? It's like
Yeah.
and building community, like, we really saw that at both at Hadestown and on the Hozier tour. 2 interesting things about there's a lot of crossover between the Hozier audience and the Hadestown audience. Part of how I got to Hadestown was because Hozier fans got really excited about the idea of me being Persephone. Just they watched something about the way I moved on stage, I think reminded them of the original artist who embodied Persephone, a fantastic, absolutely brilliant thespian named Amber Gray was the original Persephone off Broadway and on Broadway. The role was sort of built on her bones, you know? And so all of us who play that role, who are her successors, really need to kind of learn her blueprint first to find
Mm,
our own way with it, you know? But I guess something about the way I moved reminded them of her. And they started, and this was an interesting thing where they will use, you know, they'll use TikTok, they'll use Instagram, they'll use Snapchat and different things sometimes. So they on TikTok started posting little clips of me kind of dancing around and like parts of our set and
mhm,
saying, this is, you know, this has got to be our new Persephone at Hadestown. And that went sort of viral. And that got back to the producers and the writer of the show, who I'm friends with Anais Mitchell. Like we've known each other kind of on the folk scene for years.
mhm.
But it hadn't occurred to me that Broadway could be for me, you know?